Mandy, it's nice to get to talk to you today. How are you?
You too. I'm well. How are you?
Not too bad. Really excited to get to explore a little bit more of Rebecca with you from This Is Us. So quite the privilege. Thank you.
Thank you.
So tell me, this is obviously the final season for 6 seasons now. You've been able to play this character from the point of view of two different generations. How has that journey been for you?
I kind of knew from the very beginning this was such a unique and very fortunate opportunity. I mean, I get to play Rebecca at like her mid 20s all the way to like her mid 80s and everything in between. I mean, mainly obviously we're living in uh, two or three different like time periods for the most
Mhm.
part. It's an incredible privilege. I think I'm the only person on the show that gets to traverse all of those decades and therefore work with every actor.
Mhm.
And it's such a gift. I love it. I'm going to miss it so much. I feel like I exist in these dual, like parallel realities. One, which is the show with Milo, where I'm Rebecca Pearson to his Jack Pearson, and we have the kids, and it's a happier time in our marriage. And then, present day, I get to work with pretty much everybody else that's on the show. And it's so much fun. It's like both of those sets have such different energies, which is it's so much fun. I love it.
I think something that I really appreciated from the show is the fact that the theme of life goes on, that sometimes things happen, and while we're allowed to grieve and even think about the things that happened in the past as something good, it's okay to move on, move ahead, and start something different.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all deserve that, and it's nice to sort of see it. It's to be able to portray that on screen. There's so much specificity to our show, but I love that people are still able to see themselves and their families and the choices that they've made, and it really like engenders sometimes difficult conversations that you
Mhm.
wouldn't necessarily have unless you saw something depicted on screen that like made you want to start that conversation with your family. So yes, I think it's totally normal to grieve and for people to judge that grieving process and to say it's too soon for someone to move on or to move forward in whatever way because they haven't processed their grief or their trauma and they're not ready to move on, such as the case with Kate and Rebecca on our show. But yeah, it's all a part of life, figuring out your own timing and just continuing to put one foot in front of the other.
So obviously this wouldn't be possible without the great writing from Dave Don
Dan
Fogelman,
Fogelman, yeah,
Dan
yeah.
Fogelman, who put this together. With you playing the characters for so many seasons, how much in does he allow you to have any input on the character? In the later seasons to kind of, being that you are Rebecca for so long, it's like, hey, maybe I think this might work a little differently, in a very respectful way.
For sure. I think Dan and our writers are totally open to suggestions or hearing questions, comments, concern from us as actors. I personally have never, I'm like, I stand in awe of what they do and how incredible they are at their jobs. I think at this point in our show, and maybe this is the case for other shows as well, like the writers write to us as actors what
Mhm.
they know our strengths to be, or maybe what our strengths aren't as much. But it's funny, like I'll read a script now and I read it as like I can hear Rebecca and I can hear Jack and I can hear Toby. And it's like they definitely pick up our cadence and our rhythm as actors. And that all factors into, I think, some of the storylines and at least like how we talk as well.
In this season, we've seen Rebecca have to deal with like memory loss and
Mhm.
having to deal with the ramifications of that, and with some of the choices that now her daughter wants to make for her because of it. How
Mhm.
do you how did you prepare for that role? Because that's a very heavy subject that a lot of families deal with.
Yeah, that was never lost on me. Our writers are incredible at doing their due diligence, and I did the same. I did a ton of research as soon as I found out that this part of Rebecca's story was starting to unfold back in season 4. And in fact, I just got off the phone with a neurologist who very kindly helps consult on the show as well, just to ask
Mhm.
questions and make sure that like everything sort of feels um, accurate. because I know this is the reality of so many families and caregivers and loved ones that they see sort of, their lives sort of unfolding in this manner with dementia and Alzheimer's. So yeah, it's something that I do take very, very, very seriously, as do our writers. But it's heartening for people to reach out and say that they're able to see themselves and their families in what the Pearsons are going through with Rebecca and the choices that she makes. Rebecca is very intentional. I think she recognizes that time is a commodity that's sort of starting to slip away, and she wants to make the most of her life. And she has a very specific way that she wants her kids to sort of live moving forward, and the choices that they make. And hopefully her wishes will be honored. But it's definitely one of the more challenging things that I've done on the show. And it's something that, again, I take very seriously, and I want to make sure that it's as accurate as possible.
Mandy, thank you so much for your time and your insight on Rebecca and on the show. I really appreciate it. I will say real quick, when I first saw the first images of the show and I actually saw the older Rebecca, I freaked out a little bit. I was like, Mandy Moore is not that old.
What happened to her?
Yeah. So, but then Moore came out. I was like, oh, okay, all right, I see what's going on.
Just keeping you on your toes.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for your time. It was nice to virtually meet you, and congratulations on completion of the show.
Thank you. Nice to virtually meet you too. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, you too. Take care.